ladies, we are live. All right. So first and foremost, want to thank you all again. I know I've thanked you guys so many times for taking out the time to step away from your family, your friends for a short period of time so we can all come together and go into, not just being a landlord, but when I thought about this topic, this is something I see on a daily basis, just being a real estate agent. Seeing buildings a lot of times, in majority Black neighborhoods, is not Black owned. And that may not necessarily mean a lot to a lot of people, but in order for our communities to really prosper, the money has to circulate. When you start thinking about, rental income coming in, if it goes to different businesses and things of that sort, that's fine. But when it's not going into the community, that starts to affect a lot of different things. And I said, well, man, you know what? I have quite a few clients who are, young Black women who are landlords. And I know sometimes, I don't know how you guys' life has changed, since then, but I'm sure things are a lot different now. I don't know if you feel, a lot more, I don't know, I won't say more confident, but it's different now. I don't know how you guys feel now as property owners, because I know how it was working with each of you before we found, the buildings that you all now own. So let's just go straight into it because I don't want to hold up any more time. So let's go and get the ball rolling. So first question, all right. Well, first off, of course, we have the lineup, okay? We have Kanisha that's here, all right? We have Tomorrow that's here. We have Tatiana that's here. We have Jessica that's here. We have Bianca that's here. And then we have Tati that's here as well. All right, perfect. So starting off with Kanisha. So now, how did you first meet me? And then what made you want to become a landlord?
Well, I first met you in high school and then later on at a real estate event because I was actually getting my real estate license. And I had just got disapproved for an apartment. And it just so happened that I ran into you at that real estate event. And I think you was like, man, forget renting an apartment. You could own a building.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. And from there, we got into the process.
Absolutely. I remember that not too long ago. And it was just like that. Kanisha was talking about, hey, you're a real estate agent. You can help me get an apartment. And I was like, man, honestly, I can help you buy an apartment building, So, and I think so many times when people are looking for an apartment, they may not necessarily think how close that is to actually buying a building. All right. So, okay, cool. And Tomorrow, how did you first meet me? And then what made you want to go into becoming a landlord?
Well, I always knew that my first piece of property was going to be a building type structure. I just felt like that would be the best investment. I met you in high school, and then I was going through social media. I kept going to different people about getting approved for a home loan. And we had a conversation, and then you basically told me, well, I'm not going to take your money if you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I did it. I took care of my payments, and I came up I think literally 4 months later, and I was like, I'm ready. He was like, okay, let's start. And then the process was just easier from that. And I kind of just fulfilled my goals that I had 5 years from now.
There we go. There we go. And time is now going by just that quick. We'll get into the drama a little bit later for sure. So, uh, all right, awesome. All right, and then Tatiana. So now, how'd you first meet me, and then what made you want to become a landlord?
I think someone shared your post like 3 or 4 years ago about credit, and we was talking about me refinancing my car, and you told me I couldn't because I was upside down and stuff like that. And I've been talking about getting into real estate and owning buildings for a long time now, and I was talking to you about it, and you was telling me like it was a good thing to do, as far as like house hacking and stuff like that. And I told you I'll be ready in 2 to 3 years, and I called you back.
Yeah, absolutely. She stayed persistent. And it was crazy about Tatiana is that she's always chill, she's always laid back, but she's literally, I keep telling her she needs to get her real estate license. She sent us plenty of clients. She has friends that are under contract right now simply because they saw her buy, her first building. And I think she's the youngest in this panel. We'll get to that a little bit later. So we'll jump into that shortly. So, okay, cool. And then Jessica, how'd you first meet me? And then what made you want to become a landlord?
I met you in 2016. Someone shared a post about thanking you for fixing their credit. So I reached out to you about fixing me and my husband's credit, which you did, I guess, a package deal for couples or married couples or something like that. So you started us on that journey of repairing our credit. We seen results immediately. Our credit went up. I want to say in 2018, we were getting ready to work with an agent for a real estate agent because we wanted to buy a property. I reached out to you, just a quick, simple, email. It was like, when you have time, hit me up. You hit me up at 9 o'clock. Like, I don't know if this is your favorite time, but 9 o'clock was always a hard time. So 9 o'clock, you reached out to me, and I just asked you just one simple question. When we're buying property, what are the banks looking for? And then you were like, oh, are you going to buy a building? I said, yeah. You broke everything down to me. And then I said, okay. Before I got off the phone, you said, did I tell you that I'm in real estate now? And I was like, really? And you were like, yeah. And you've been my agent. You was my agent. You found us a property at what? We closed, in 30 days. Everything was done in 30 days.
Man, yeah. That, good times too, because I was still in learning mode, and you guys were patient with me. And we had a little bit of drama too, with buying that building, but everything worked out. Everything worked out. So awesome. All right. And then of course, Bianca, how did you meet me? And then what made you want to become a landlord?
Yeah, so I think it was back in 2013, it had to be.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
I know, it's been a minute. But yeah, I met you through your wife, Rashonda. Rashonda and I used to work at Enterprise Rent a Car together. So fun fact, years ago, I found out that Calvin worked at Nissan, and he actually sold me my first car. So it's pretty cool that he helped me buy my first rental property. And why did I want to buy a building? Honestly, I just wanted the extra income. But I also knew that I wanted to invest in something, so I can pass down, assets to my kids, which will eventually help them get a head start on generational growth or wealth.
Absolutely. Man, I just thought about that too. That was a while back. You was at birthday parties and everything. So that's what's up, man. Time has most definitely flown by. And of course, the famous Tati. So how'd you first meet me? And then what made you go into wanting to become a landlord?
Well, Calvin was actually my boss at Nissan. So he brought me into Nissan. And what made me become a landlord was when I left Nissan and I went to the credit union. And, at the credit union, I used to see everybody's bank accounts. So I used to always ask people, how you make so much money? Just making small talk. Well, how you get it? And all of them said real estate. So then one day I just text Calvin. So Calvin, how does real estate work? And he just took it from there. Okay, let me go with my boy. And we just went from there.
Yeah.
But that's seeing them bank accounts. I was like, okay, this is where it's at.
All right. So clearly we know Tati likes the first of the month. All right. So you got t-shirts and everything, just in case y'all ever need some t-shirts made that say landlord. So
I just peep that shirt. I just peeped that shirt too.
So here's another thing too. So Tati goes a little bit further back than that. I actually helped Tati get her first credit card. I remember when she was like, listen, my mom is not going to let me get no credit card. So to go from, and she heard me giving people credit advice while we were at Nissan working in the same office. I hired her. And from getting that first credit card to now her being a landlord, that's what happens when you stick around, the Russells. Just trying to throw that out there. So, but that's amazing. That's amazing. So, all right. So now we're going to go backwards. So Tati, now how was the property buying process for you?
Oh, it was very long because I kept finding stuff, and then the inspection just ruined it. It was like, I found this. Remember, I stopped for a long time.
Yeah, a year. For a couple months. Yeah. It
was like months. He was like, I know you ain't giving up on me now.
No,
I'm like, it's tough out here. It's really tough. But yeah, it took some time. So I think when we do inspections on maybe like 3 homes, I was like, after this, I give up. I'm just done. I can't find nothing that I want.
Yeah.
And it was the last one that I went to an open house, and I text you the exact day.
Yep.
And that night, you was like, okay, we under contract.
Yeah, man, that's a nice build. That's most definitely a nice building. So it took Tati a year to find a property. She won't say she was being picky. She was being picky. Okay. So I think all of us have our pickiness a little bit, as we kind of dive into it. But there were certain things she was looking for, and I can't blame her. But one thing for sure, she gave buildings a chance. And we all remember how that inspection was, so some people that have to go through a lot of that. So we'll get to Bianca's story a little bit later, because that was probably one of the smoothest deals that we had. We'll get to that one a little bit later. So, all right. So we'll swing over to Jessica. All right. So now, how was the property buying process for you?
Like I said, mine was about 30 days. I can't say the most frustrating part was finding something that we liked. Like me, you, and my husband liked it.
Yeah.
And someone will come right up under us with cash deal, or someone will offer something higher, or just they responded late, things like that. But when we did find the one that we wanted, we almost didn't get it, I remember. Yeah. But we end up getting it because they lowered the price, because the bank wanted them to lower the price, so they lowered the price for us. We were very patient, and you worked very hard. I mean, 11 o'clock at night, you were sending emails. Yeah. We were popping in offers at all these different properties, like 5 minutes after we're done seeing it, you were in the car already typing up something for us to sign. So to me, it was smooth. Besides the couple ones we wanted and we couldn't get it.
Yeah. So Jessica was in a very competitive market over there in the Berwyn area, Cicero. I mean, like, it was super competitive. And actually, she had the first deal where we went under contract for a higher amount than the property was appraised at. And I don't know if you remember, but the guy was like, yeah, you got to pay the difference because
in cash.
Yeah, in cash. And we was like, we're not going to pay no extra money. We'll just back out the deal. And when we sent they was like, okay, then we'll cancel. We sent the cancellation notice. They literally waited to the last minute of the cancellation notice and said, all right, we'll go ahead and honor that. So, but man, that was most definitely a nice building that you guys got. Long driveway. We'll get to the tenants in a minute, because I know you guys have had some time now, so
yeah.
we'll get to the fun stuff shortly. So, and how was the property buying process for you, Bianca?
Honestly, before I even began the process, I was a little scared, right? Because it was something that I've never done before. So I didn't know what to expect. Like Calvin would hit me up and be like, hey, we're going to go look at these buildings tomorrow. I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, but wait, what do I look for? But honestly, the process was pretty easy. I think it took like a month and a half for to close on everything, but due to Calvin's like relationships, Calvin know everybody, so it made it easier. So, like, for example, like finding a lawyer or an appraiser or someone to do the financing, Calvin was like, I got a person, you can use your own, but I got somebody too. So I just trusted his word when it came to that. And honestly, I didn't want to take the time to do the research and find my own person. So I'm like, Calvin, you got a person, let's do it.
Yep, absolutely. And, actually, so I've only had maybe about 3 or 4 deals in my 3-year career where the first offer we sent got approved, and Bianca was one of those deals and we asked for, a nice amount of closing credit. And what happened was, it was a very good situation. The lady's house building was paid off. She was looking to move, and so it worked out, and she accepted our first offer. And we literally, I think the only issue we had was the fact that she had to turn a utility off in time, and that she left the garage door open on closing day or something, like before we got the keys. But that was the only issues that Bianca had. Probably one of the smoothest transactions I've ever had in my career. So, all right. And then, so now, Tatiana, how was the process, the property buying process for you?
It was pretty smooth. Besides the first deal that we had, it fell through because of the tenant. Then we found another house that I really wanted, and then it was a cash buyer. I'm like, oh my gosh! But I found the property that I wanted, I got. So, but you and James was pretty smooth with it.
Oh yeah. I remember too, that lady that she was supposed to meet us at the property a day before we saw it. And I stay far south, and so this was out west. She told me about 8 minutes before I pulled up that she couldn't let us in. I was upset, but I won't gonna let Tatiana see that I was upset. I said, we'll just get in there tomorrow. You know, so here's what it is. But that ended up working out. What phone that is, they buying dinner for us all. So we'll get your dad's address in a second. All right. So all right. So and then now tomorrow. Now how was the property buying process for you?
I felt like it was destiny. You know, I'm all black everything.
Yes.
My attorney be black. I need my real estate agent to be black. I need who I'm bound for. Be black. And you made it happen. You really did. Even though you told me my attorney's gonna be a little more expensive, I was like, I didn't care. And you still hooked me up with Alexis. And I appreciate that because it was something, you know, that I needed that to happen that way. And it was executed perfectly. Now, being me, it had to be a little dramatic. I had to give my house for my late season, and the bank was not doing anything right at all. And then when it was time for closing, they ain't send the money. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
owner, I'm like,
remember that.
Into you. But they was nice. They were giving keys, but make sure we get our money. So I made sure they got their money. But my part was easier for me because I gave them a loan. So everything was already set up. I just think the inspection part that got a little testy at times because it was like the inspector came and they had a lot of things they wanted to change.
Yeah.
Speaking to the people that I was buying it from, they were just like, okay, y'all asking for a lot. Can we do this? Can we do that? And of course, Calvin, you were a great, I guess, mediator between that, and you kind of smoothed everything out because, you know, I was getting a little diva-ish. I'm not making a compromise. They don't want to do it, then I can go somewhere else. And you just chill. You good. We're all right. It's smooth. Put my energy back in. I was like, okay, just talk to him. I do this. I'm mad, you know. So it was, but once I met them, I just was like, oh, this is destiny. I saw the buyer, me and her looked like they would be the older version of me. Her husband was a military veteran, so we just had a good connection with each other. I just felt like this was the house I was getting.
Absolutely. And you know what's so crazy, especially with tomorrow's situation, you had the lender, they were dragging their feet on, of course, she wouldn't have known because it's her first building, but on some simple stuff. And no lender is necessarily perfect, you know, so I kind of expected something to happen. But then when we had the appraisal, they needed some paint work to get done. And mind you, we were buying a building in the beginning of the year. So it's cold outside. So mind you, paint doesn't dry, you know, in the cold, and she can't close unless the paint is dry. So we got super lucky, and we had a 40-degree day out of nowhere, and they got the paint work done and things of that sort. And I learned from tomorrow's deal what a soft closing was. See, all y'all went through a regular closing, but a soft closing is when everybody's at the table, but then something's missing for the deal to close, and everybody got to come back to another closing. So imagine that. Yeah, so imagine that. So we'll dive more into some other stuff a little bit later. So, and Kanisha, how was the property buying process for you? Which, by the way, you know, it's funny, a property that we looked at a while back on Vernon, that's still on the market, but you go ahead.
Okay, so let's start at Vernon. I had 3 properties on the contract, I think.
You did.
I think 3. The one on Vernon, it was something wrong with the roof. They didn't want to fix the roof. Like, we had a stop and go process. It was a roller coaster, but it was never our fault. It was always the seller's fault. And one on Vernon, like, it was a fourth flat or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was
the basement wasn't legal or something like that.
No, the roof needed like $8,000. We needed like a new roof essentially.
Right, and they only wanted to give us like $2,000 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I paid for 3 inspections. And by the time I made it to the building that I actually bought, I was like, Calvin, if this don't work, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm not doing that next year.
Right.
Like, oh, we gonna get you a building. And so I think we seen that building like.
Yeah, and it only had 1 photo, mind you. This is the first property.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, it only had 1 photo, so it was risky.
Yeah, and it was on the market for a long time. We was like, okay, we're gonna try this out, and it actually turned out to be my building. Yeah,
it was a nice building. It was a nice building. So, and ever since, and honestly, and these are things that I think that not just buyers go through, but that agents go through too, because I was like, man, I try to stay away from, I mean, most people naturally stay away from like listings that have that one photo or something like that. But but I was like, man, the price was good. I mean, it already had a tenant in there paying rent. We was like, this may work out, you know. So and it worked out perfectly. So we'll talk about your tenants shortly because we could write a book on you. All right, so let's go into the next question. Okay, so we will, matter of fact, we'll go, okay, well, yeah, so I'll kind of do it like I'm doing it right now. So Kanisha, was it hard for us to find you a tenant? I know the building was already turnkey, as I should say. It came with a tenant, but then we also found, you know, another tenant. So was it hard to find that tenant?
When I was trying to find the tenant by myself, it was hard because I didn't know what I was looking for. I just, I went off the, you sent the pre-landlord video or something.
Yeah.
And I was trying to go off that, and that wasn't working. And it was the winter time, so it was real hard. Like, people weren't trying to come out, see no bill, no apartment. I almost got scammed.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Abby?
I remember that.
I got scammed. But once I handed it over to Calvin, he found what you found in like a week.
Man, yeah, a little bit less than a week, and we had about 3 or 4 people, and I narrowed it down to 2. But I really like this one lady, and because they were persistent. Yeah, they was on it, and you know it's crazy, and that, you know, and they still own it from what I've heard.
They
Right?
got saying still to this day. They probably paying me right now. They be on it.
You know, but that rent be on time.
All the time. They want to cut the grass. They want to do everything. I say,
All right. And then what about your best friend upstairs?
oh, Jesus. Okay, so I have a Section 8 tenant and a tenant who's not on Section 8. The Section 8 tenant, she think it's her building. So she want me to do everything. She called me for the littlest thing. She's like, I seen a bug on my window, or it's just like the smallest thing. Cause she be like, really? It don't matter what time of the day. I just be like looking at the phone like, y'all really signed up to be a landlord? But that's Section 8 for you. Like, it's guaranteed money, but it's don't come with some other stuff. Cause
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, that's another thing, too, is that I've seen, you know, both spectrums. And that's what I wanted people to be. Yeah. I want you guys to be, you know, transparent about it, because people have their expectation like, oh, well, you know, if I go non-Section 8, I don't have to worry about somebody tearing up my stuff or whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean that non-Section 8 tenants will mess up your stuff or whatever. It's really hit or miss. You just never know. And it just so happens that people will, you know, be in a certain neighborhood or be Section 8 or not Section 8, or make a certain amount of income or not make a certain amount of income. You just never know. And that's why that's why I want the viewers to see this, that it's really the luck of the draw, you know, so on how things can be, because she's having, you know, issues. Yeah, she's getting the, you know, the money every single month on the second floor. But then the lady that's on the first floor, super persistent about the same things, but it's different when, you know, you're not, you know, I mean, I wish we could just show this video to our tenants, but that's a whole nother video for another day. So, all right. And then tomorrow, so now how was it with you finding tenants?
Well, I just found one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
The way that my property structure, it was a single family home that was converted for a multi-family home.
Yep.
And I did all the steps that you told me in the email, but I just wasn't comfortable with the people I was coming across. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm in a close proximity. I need to have someone that I actually know and I actually can trust. Also know that they're going to be financially responsible, paying my rent on time. So I went with what most people discourage, a family member. But because her record is clean and I know that she is responsible and she's always got a job now, I went that route. So she actually will be moving in August 1st. So it's just, you both what she is saying, though, you know, because it's family. It's something she won't fit when she moves in. So it's a little different. Like, if it was somebody I didn't know, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But because it's family, I'm just trying to make sure that I keep it still, you know, business.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I'm sure, you know, us as landlords, as well as viewers, we buy buildings and then family, we never know when you're going to get that text or that call from family that say, hey, can I stay in your building? And, you know, so I'm glad you brought that up, you know, so because we all, you know, you just never know how things are going to go. But as long as y'all ain't afraid to put them out, you know, if stuff go left. So, but of course, we never want that to happen.
Wow, it's the worst case scenario. They're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine.
There you go. There you go. All right. And then Tatiana, I know your building came with a tenant already, and then how, no, but that process, how's that been working out so far?
Pretty smooth. She's on Section 8 as well, but she don't know the landlord. I told her that my mom is. So when I'm talking to her, I'm always talking in third person with her. So, but yeah, everything's, pretty smooth. I don't have no complaints about her. She tell me when something's like going wrong.
There you go. Perfect. Okay. And let me tell y'all something. Tatiana, she's actually pretty handy. I'll be seeing her posting photos on Facebook talking about what she fixed. And I'm like, this girl, she'll watch a video on YouTube and say, let me go get this wrench real quick. So
YouTube University.
I feel you on that one. I feel you. And yeah, and so she had a building, had a Section 8 tenant into it. And I mean, even when we met her, the lady was like, hey, there's an issue with this door, but other than that, everything's cool. And everything's been cool since then, right? For the most part. Okay, cool. Now, see, here's the thing too. I think Tatiana was probably the youngest the youngest landlord we've ever had. And now, how old were you, Tatiana, when you bought the building? I know it was just recently, but how old are you now?
Well, I'm 27. I'll be 28 in November.
Okay, cool. All right. And so her thing was, you know what? I'm gonna just tell my tenant that my mom owns the building. That way, she won't be, bothering me. So she just hassle my mom. So there's another indirect way to do it. So again, these are tips. That way, if you worried about your tenant bothering you or whatever, listen, they'll just bother, whoever you tell the other person is. My wife and I did that too. We bought our building. We bought our first building. We was 25. And we said, you know what? We just stay here. It's a family-owned building, So, but eventually, once they start seeing stuff come in the mail, I was like, oh, well, that's dead. So.
And then she's like, well, your mama didn't answer the phone. I'm like, well, just call again and leave a voicemail. She didn't answer.
No, in good well, you can answer that question. All right. And then, so Jessica, now, how was it for you? How hard was it for you to find a tenant?
It wasn't hard. I was actually shocked. You sent me the packet over after we closed you gave me the lease, you gave me the background, the credit check, different tips like that. And so we closed at the end of June. We had a tenant July 1st.
Wow.
We had a lot of people come to check out the property. It was pretty simple for me because the property that I bought, the guy had all the pictures.
That's right.
The square footage, how it would look if it had beds and couches and everything in there. So we used those model pics and posted those. Something funny actually happened when I posted the property. Zillow and Trujillo sent me a message saying that I posted my property way too low for my neighborhood. So I had to up the price. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, that's kind of steep for a 2-bedroom. But I went up another 100. It was still too low. So I had to go up to where they wanted me to. And I was like, okay. And people reached out. And a good tip that you gave me, and I really believe this is why I found a tenant within 1 week. You said if everyone had perfect credit, they would not be renting. They would be owning. So look for evictions, look for judgments. Don't look for the score.
That's right.
Don't worry about the number. And when I posted that in my ad, credit score is not an issue, but evictions and judgments, my phone was blowing off the hook. I had 3 people begging before the other person. I was like, well, this person came before. So I had to go with that person. So yeah, I think I had a tenant within 8 days.
There you go.
And they've been here for 3 years now.
Man, y'all out here giving out my tips. So that's but that's that's how my wife and I looked at it, because when I was working at the dealership, which by the way, everybody who's watching, make sure you guys share this, okay? Make sure you guys share this. Sharing is caring, to get everybody in like at one time. Guys, this is difficult. So I'm like, man, gotta be one of the luckiest agents out here. All right. So make sure you guys share this information. So, but what I was gonna say was when my wife and when I was at the dealership, I noticed that people they have good jobs, but they were always judged by their credit, unfortunately. And, all of us didn't always have, the parent household where they told us about credit and things of that sort. And, I ain't trying to throw, I ain't gonna say that, but either way, but we all didn't have those parents, so, and with that said, it's the same goes into when you're looking for a property. I always tell people, don't go by the people that's got good credit. They're going to eventually move out on you and buy a building. The people that don't have get someone who has messed up credit with a good job, because they ain't leaving nowhere, but you know that check is coming. And even if the rent is late, perfect. That's Cheesecake Factory dinner. No dinner. That's no. Listen, my wife and I, we love late rent. Keep it late, okay? Because late rent comes with late fees, okay? So you got to think for the future, because think about it now. Because everybody thinks they want that tenant with great credit, but I mean, they gonna dip on you pretty soon. All right, say, hey, how are you? You are muted. You are muted tomorrow. You are muted. You gotta oh, you still muted. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, we just waving it. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
I did it on purpose. I didn't
Oh,
want her
good. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine.
Go.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and swing on over to Bianca. So Bianca, how hard was it finding a tenant?
So for me, it wasn't hard at all. I actually found it, and then so the second floor, that's where I needed to find one. So when I purchased the building, I made a post on Facebook, and as soon as I made that post, I had a few people inbox me that was interested in renting out the building. So I pretty much went from there. So far, no major issues with tenants. Sometimes they don't really see eye to eye. I also had one tenant that was on the first floor, which was the tenant that was there when I purchased the building. He had a deal. I mean, he was pretty much paying pennies. So when her lease was over with, I had to have that difficult conversation. Like, hey, I know you've been staying here for some years and you've been paying X amount, but unfortunately, the price got to go up. So I gave her a 9. So she can make that decision and do some research to kind of see what other apartments in the area was going for. And thankfully, she agreed to stay. So everything's working out pretty smooth.
Good, good. I'm glad you brought that up too, Bianca, because a lot of people be afraid to go into a situation where you have a tenant and they're used to paying a certain amount of money, and you're like, you know what? We got to go up, and that's just the market. That's just how, because just like we all own buildings now. And I don't know about y'all, but taxes have gone up on our building. We've owned our building for 7 years. Taxes have gone up almost every year, and that little bit matters. And if I got to pay more, they should have to pay more. But that's just how it goes, And that brings me to my next point. I remember with Tatiana, she had with her Section 8 tenant, she had mentioned how her Section 8 tenant was paying a certain amount of money, but Section 8 didn't have they had I think they had the old rent amounts from back in the day, and so her mom had researched everything, and she had said, listen, we can get more money, so all we got to do is just get this information, so Tatiana was most definitely on it. I think I got 450 videos on YouTube. I'm sure she watches a ton of YouTube videos learning this stuff. So all right. Okay, and then of course, Tati, how hard was it for you finding a tenant?
It wasn't that hard because I let my friend Lisa do it, because she do real estate too. So she had the whole program where they got to pay the $50 for the background check. And what I used to do sometimes, because I was busy, but sometimes I go over there and just be cleaning up like I'm the janitor and stuff to get a feel of the people. And then she'll text me no, I don't like this person, or this person I ain't like the question that they was asking. They give you a hard time. Because she had more experience than me in it, so I would use her to do it, and I just pretend like I'm the janitor. But I should have did what Tatiana did and pretended I want the landlord, because what my tenants kind of did at first was thought we was on the same level and started acting like I was their friend.
Yeah.
But when they seen how I was straight to the book, no, that's not in your lease, then it start coming back down. But in the beginning, they was complaining about the littlest stuff. And you don't care about my feelings, you should care. We're not friends. But yeah, oh my God, I could show you the text.
Yeah.
But after I stopped being strict and straight to the books, I guess it really okay, she ain't playing. Even though she look young, she not playing.
Yeah. That's what's up. And that's the thing, is because I won't say it changes who we are, but it puts us in a new position that we may have never been before. Because see, it's different, because we've all, been at jobs, and some of us in management positions, but it's different when there's money involved and they're living in your dwelling. you know. So, and you got to, you know, because we don't want to be slumlords, right? Because we've all, you know, been in living situations before. We've all had landlords. And one thing I can say about majority of the people that I've helped is that I've always tried to be resourceful. I've always tried to give you guys someone to call. I know a lot of you all have called Mr. Brown on different occasions, getting stuff fixed and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, my Rolodex, you know, of people. So I most definitely understand. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next question here. All right. So pros and cons. This is a very big topic. And as a real estate agent, I'm not allowed to kind of talk too much about Section 8 necessarily. But I sometimes think it gets a bad rap. Sometimes I think is most definitely I would say overhyped sometimes, because there's no guarantee. I always tell people there's no guarantee about anything, you know. But for those of you who have Section 8 tenants, who would like to comment on some of the pros and cons that you guys have kind of dealt with? So we'll go ahead and start with Kanisha. So pros and cons, Section 8.
Well, the pro is your money is guaranteed. You always gonna get paid on time. The cons, I feel like when people don't pay for something, they don't really take care of it. So you gotta be careful with like who you let into a building. And if it's like on a lot of young people, like they feel like, oh, I'm not paying for this. So if my daughter break the wall, put a hole in the wall or right on the wall, like I don't have to pay for that because she has Section 8. And so I think that's the biggest pro and con that I have, but that I've seen so far.
Okay. And that's another thing too, guys. When you have Section 8 tenants, they go through the same process as any other tenant. You still have to interview them. Don't just focus on the dollar sign. Same happens if they're non-Section 8. Don't just go by the income that they have. They still need to go through that interview process. You still want to follow those steps. You still want to check those check stubs. You listen, there are people I've seen on my timeline from adding certain type of ratchet people for no reason that make check stubs. Okay. So I'm telling you, these check stubs are super fake out here. So make sure y'all are on it. Now, it's not going to get past me and Tati, because me and Tati know how to read some check stubs.
I caught one. I literally caught one. The first girl who applied, I caught her check stub. I said, "How you making 30 an hour, but your year to date is 1,000? What you just started? It didn't make sense." And she gave me a sob story. I'm sweeping. When did you give me a sob story? My mom kicked us out, and we got to move. It was just...
It's too much. It's you know what? People do a lot to get into these buildings. And you know what? But if they really just tell us what the deal is, I know people that I've helped become a landlord. We've all looked for people that don't necessarily have the best credit. So we're giving people an opportunity, you know. So just letting all the viewers know, and everybody who's seeing this, listen, that there are good landlords out here, and it's not all, you don't have to lie, guys. I mean, if you make the money, you make the money, but you're only gonna put yourself in a tough spot if you don't make the money. Just throwing that out there. All right. So, and then Tatiana, you have Section 8 as well. So now, how pros and cons on that?
Well, she pretty much answered everything about the pros and cons, but I never had any issues. And like when I was telling friends and family about, you know, I got a Section 8 tenant, I go, oh, well, I don't know about that. You might want to look at another tenant that, you know, have an income coming in. I'm like, I don't have no problems. I mean, it depends on the person or the family.
Yeah. That lady was most definitely cool, and the only thing she told us about was some issue with the door, and really the previous owner never checked on the building. That's another thing too, is that when people own buildings and they don't check on them, they're not familiar with the neighborhood, they don't care about the neighborhood, they throw tenants in there, Section 8, non-Section 8, they just collect their check, they don't care about the building. And, you know, Tatiana went in there and said, hey, listen, I'll go ahead and take care of that for you, you know, but since then, the lady's been chill. Yeah, she's been.
Like, I'm staying here. I'm gonna stay here till I die.
Right, that's his.
Y'all fixing up everything.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, I think that's it for who has Section 8, I believe. So, all right. So next question will be, okay. So pros and cons of non-Section 8 tenants. I think that's pretty much kind of everybody. So we'll go ahead and start with Tati, and then we'll swing up to Bianca. That way you got time to turn your mic back on. So. But yeah, because you have a non-Section 8 tenant. So now how's that been going for you so far, Tati?
One of them recently started paying late, but the other one, she pays on time all the time. She only bothers me when it's something serious, like when her plumbing went out. but she's been good. But the one who started paying late, that's the one who made up an excuse to break her lease. But I'd rather break it because I'm like, she's starting to pay late. So something is going on. So at least she came to me and said it. But it's haven't really been nothing real bad except for the complaining. But
Okay.
they
Got
both been paying on time. But she recently started paying late. So I'm guessing she going through some type of financial issue. Is she ready to get out than to get evicted after I, put the eviction notice on her door and everything?
Yeah.
But that's the only con that I really have. But they both been paying.
Okay. And I think that's a very good tip too, for the viewers who are watching, is that when you start noticing issues with tenants being late and things of that stuff, things of that sort, you want to make sure that, hey, listen, if you're starting to have issues, early on, it's cheaper to get rid of them early. Okay, like super early than it is to go through the court process. I had a tenant, just quick story. Rashonda and I had a tenant where rent was due on November the 1st. Rent didn't get collected, being nice. And mind you, they had been here for a year. They had been there for a year, probably was late 3 times in a year. And, so they said, okay, it'll be late. No problem. I love late fees. No Red Lobster on y'all. That sounds good to me. All right, cool. So either way, that happens. And the 15 comes around. Rent didn't come. Then they said, well, now my wife needs surgery. Okay, now December comes. Now you're a month late. All right. And then, which by the way, you got to do a 5-day notice. So a lot of stuff I learned. And of course, we've been landlords for a long time. But these are little things that we never really had to do because no one had ever treated us like this before. So sure enough, they were late. Then they said, give us another couple weeks. I went back a couple weeks later. And then he was like, listen, we don't have it. But listen, don't come back to the building unless you have everything in order. So he's telling me not to come to my building until I got everything in order. These people be something else, man. So, but either way, I learned a couple things. Number one, do that 5-day notice and then do that 30-day notice. And then that's when you go ahead and start that court process. And of course, you got to wait. But see, they finessed. Check this out. So I didn't know that you couldn't evict someone because this was during the same time as remember that whole polar, vortex, whatever thing? Yeah. So if the temperature's under, I think 20 degrees or 15 degrees, you can't evict nobody. So they didn't pay rent November, December, January, February, March. I just so happened to stop by the building. I'd always stop by the building, but I looked through the window. I was like, man, let me just see what these funky people doing. So looking through the window, because I was just like, y'all enjoying this because y'all ain't paying no damn rent. So I'm looking through the window and all their stuff was gone. Man, I unlocked that door so quick. I hit up my cleaning guy. I said, hey, listen, how soon can you come in and clean this up? Put them photos online. Man, I got a tenant right away. But I say that to say, you got to be on people. And of course, the relationship may be a little bit different for you guys, but 5-day notice, that's real easy. And then, of course, you got the 30-day notice, but yeah, hopefully the people don't have to go through that. So who else is next here? We'll go with, Bianca. So now, non-Section 8 tenant, pros and cons.
I think one of the pros would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't done Section 8, but don't you have to pass like a separate inspection or something like that in order for it to qualify as a Section 8 property?
Building, they do send an inspector. Most people usually fail the first inspection. They give you a list of stuff that needs to be done. Yep.
Yeah. So I would say that's a pro, right? So if you don't do Section 8, you don't have to go through that. One of the cons, obviously, will be that check is not guaranteed every month. Sometimes rent is going to be late, but I actually took some advice from you, Kevin, when you told me pretty much about late fees and how you like late fees. So I have mine set up where after the grace period, if I was my tenant, I wouldn't want to pay my rent late because those late fees is nothing to play with. And I like Red Lobster too, so I really want them to be late, but if they're late, they have to pay the fee for it.
There we go. And that's the thing. And again, this goes back into, because I know some of and just so you know, everyone that has questions, we'll get to the questions here shortly. But that goes into what we talked about, making sure that the income is there. Because when the income is there, even if they are late, worst case scenario, in 2 weeks, they finna have another paycheck, because things do happen. And then we also do nice things, like when Christmas come around, we give $100 off the rent. When they renew the lease, we give them like a discount. So little things like that to make them feel like, okay, cool. And we did that. And our tenants stayed with us for 7 years. They're probably watching some of these videos. I have to block them from Facebook so they couldn't learn all this stuff. But but either way, yeah, we did that stuff and it most definitely helped out over time. So, and then, so now Jessica, how has it been for you non-Section 8?
I would say the same thing as Bianca said. I thought about Section 8, but by me finding the tenant so quick, we found the tenant quicker than when they came out and did the inspection for Section 8. So I'm not opposed to Section 8. It's just we actually get cash paying tenants quicker. The late fee would be the rent being late would be probably the con. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, that's all. I mean, yeah, just the late.
Yeah.
I have never been, my tenant's been here for 3 years and they've never went a month late. It's always been a week or two.
Gotcha.
But you know, I implemented the whole, after the 6th, you get a late fee. After 10 days, you get another late fee. So I think that's why they don't reach that 30-day mark. Cause then now you're if you couldn't afford last month, how are you gonna afford 2 months?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So but I heard everybody coming up on this 10,000, but that's a whole nother video. So, all right. And then Kanisha, so now you got the best of both worlds. So now how is it on that first floor with the non-Section 8?
Like I said, like they pay on time, they pay before it's due. I couldn't ask for a better tenant.
Wow.
Everybody, the only problem was, it wasn't a problem, but it started off as just the mom, and then a day or two before it was time to sign the lease, the daughter was like, I want to move in too. And so we had to do a whole nother background check. But everything, I haven't had, knock on wood, they haven't paid late yet, and I have no complaints from them at all.
Man, that's some good tenants, man.
They are.
I wonder who found them. All right. So, all right. So no, and that's the thing, man. It's luck of the draw, and there's little things that we look for, So I mean, that's most definitely one of the things we look for. So all right, cool. Next would be, and then we got some questions too. So guys, stick around if you can. Let's see here. Now let's go into. I think that things that we always talk about the money. Non-Section 8, Section 8. Let's go into building maintenance. All right. So this has been some fun stuff. And I think, let me go into someone I know had to do some work to their property. I don't think Jessica had to do nothing, so I'll save you for last. So, okay, so so now Kanisha, so now we'll swing back to you. So now building maintenance, what are some things you had to deal with going into it and then since that time?
I start off with the windows. For some reason, they nailed every single window shut in the whole building. So I had to get like 7 windows fixed, and that was probably like $600. And it was a leak. Remember, it was a leak right before the tenant came. Like a day before, like my first floor was empty for months. Yeah. And right before I was about to get a tenant downstairs, it was a big old water stain on the wall. Like the day before, someone was coming to see this building. And well, my daddy's a plumber, so my daddy came out. He handled that. And what else? I had a couple of other issues, but nothing else major. Like I think the plumbing was the biggest thing, and I had to get the basement closed off from the first bedroom. The first bedroom led to the basement. It was real creepy, so I had someone to close off the bedroom wall to the basement.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So I mean, we had the water situation from the leak upstairs. I remember that. And that was as soon as you buy a building, it's like, all right, drama, So.
Literally, as soon as I was about to get a new tenant.
There you go. All right. And then tomorrow we'll go into the other question that we just had. It was, pretty much like non-Section 8 and what is pros and cons non-Section 8.
Well, I don't have any on Section 8, but I was looking into getting it done with my building, but so many rules and regulations for me right now that look like something that might be on my agenda 2 or 3 years from now. I just don't feel like I have the funding to comply to the government policy. Nor do I have patience yet. So I'm working on it. I think that's something that's going to be 2 or 3 years. But right now, I just think the non-Section 8, as long as you have employment that I can verify, I can call your employer, and I know that that's your employer. I think that's the best route to go as far as for your first time being a landlord.
Yep. And just so y'all know, Tamara comes from the legal background, so she laying the law down every time she's doing something.
Every time.
She is not playing. So, okay, cool. All right, then we'll go into Tatiana. Let's go into building maintenance. What are some things that you've had to deal with when you bought your building?
I had to replace the front door on the first floor because they had like a door handle that looked like you walking into a hotel room. Then the door was like somebody tried to kick it in. So I just replaced the whole door, and I bought screens for all the windows because we don't have air conditioning. So I was being, considerate of so they could open their windows. But other than that, plus my building is very old, so I'm just doing updates little bit by little bit.
Okay, good. Good. And just so y'all know, that the building, it's old. It's got some old filters, but they most definitely did some updating. So it ain't like Tatiana always got to fix something, So, but yeah, that's part of it though. And I'll actually mention something. Now I told the ladies, just like my wife and I learned too, don't spend all your profit. If whatever your rent is, save $50 to $100, put it to the side. Something will happen, whether it's something as simple as, I remember the day that our tenants called us and the hot water tank went out. So imagine getting ready to go to work and you taking a cold shower, but as soon as they told me, and they didn't even tell me in the morning, they told me like midday, and I'm like, man, so I jumped right on it because I don't want nobody to take no cold shower, so took care of that. The money was there, so, and that's the thing, is always having that reserve, because people can't stand landlords that ain't financially ready when something pop off. Okay. So just make sure y'all on y'all, but y'all have always, been, on y'all stuff. So, all right. And then, so now Jessica, what are some maintenance things you've dealt with upon your building?
Ours is turnkey ready. So when we moved in, we didn't have to fix anything. So far in 3 years, I would say maybe a door on the cabinet got loose and we had to tighten that up. And one of the pipes got clogged with hair because I guess they take their hair down and put it down the drain. I'm not sure. But what we have done is every 6 months we go rot all the pipes out just to keep on it, so it won't be anything that's major later on. So we do that every 6 months.
Man, that's what you do when you got extra money laying around. You start just doing stuff ahead of time. Okay.
We have one of those thingies. We bought one.
Oh, okay.
So we don't call anyone.
That's what's up. No, that's very smart, because I think that little things like that. When my wife and I bought our first building, the older tenants, they used to pour grease down the toilet. Now, granted, I'm from Memphis originally. My grandmother poured years of grease down the toilet, and I never knew it was an issue. But now owning a building,
yeah.
Listen, I'm like, you cannot do that.
Yeah, so I just did that for like extra precaution so it won't clog up. We changed the batteries in the smoke detector because if I leave it up to the tenants, they might not change it, a fire might happen and we might not know.
Yeah. Man, okay, let me write that down. I ain't did that. No, let me write that down. All right, cool. All right, and then Tati, what are some building maintenance that you've had to deal with?
Well, most of my building is brick, but the back part is siding. So I got the siding redone. One day it was raining, I was in the attic and I noticed that it was dripping. So I had to get the chimney like capped up. I don't know if it was my tenant I have now or a previously tenant, but the whole plumbing system was backed up. Like the water, she lived on the first floor and the water was coming up. And when they rotted out the pipes, they found like Pampers, towels, it was like filled with stuff. And so I had to get a whole new pipeline. I also had to got a gate put up back there. I had to paint because the tenant who lived there before her lived there for like 3 years. Okay. So I had to paint, and she had a broken window. So I had to get the window fixed. And so far, I think everything else was little. I had to get like the plugs in the wall. I had to get like 2 of them fixed because they wasn't working. Okay. But I think my plumbing, that's what took me out. I was like, you know what? Don't call me for nothing else for a minute. Y'all on pause. I did. I put them on Do Not Disturb.
There you go. There you go. All right. All right. And tomorrow, what are some things that you had to take care of in your building, some maintenance?
There's nothing that was like hardcore. My tenant, she's complaining about it not having any AC right now. Right, so she's gonna have to wait on that. We just gonna have to buy air conditioner or something because I'm not putting the AC unit in. It's too much money. Um, more like cosmetic things, like the dressers in the kitchen. You told me that your wife, she had this like fantastic idea to like put some like wallpaper inside of the dressers, and it changed the look totally. And I changed out all the blinds because I know like no one really likes the old school blinds where you got to do like this. So I bought like some cordless ones, and it's easier, you know, if they ever have a child, then they don't have to worry about things like that because the older ones suck. Yeah, my dad wants to paint it, but yeah, my house, like the inspector, they did do their job. Like they made sure that the property was in tip top shape. So I didn't really have to do any maintenance right now.
Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. So not too bad. Not too bad. And Bianca, how about you? Building maintenance.
Yeah, not a lot of maintenance. I think during the inspection and the appraisal, we asked the previous buyer to fix a lot of things. So there wasn't that much that I had to fix. I think one time we had like a leak under the sink. I did do some remodeling on the second floor, so I redid the floors, painted, and did some drywall, just because I wanted it to look nicer. But honestly, we could have rented it out the way that it was. So yeah, no major issues.
Okay. All right. And then also too, just wanted to say thank you all again. We're not done yet. Don't y'all think y'all going nowhere. So not done yet. But just want to say thank you all again for not just being here, but taking out the time, to answer, these questions, things of that sort. Because I know a lot of people not only trying to see what Bianca got in her background with that No Limit documentary we all trying to see, but but either way, so I mean, just to pull people away from that, so people are most definitely interested. They got goals here. So let's get it going. So all right, so next would be, and I think I got everybody with the building maintenance. So, okay, cool. So now, based on your experience so far, right? We got the pros, we got the cons, we got building maintenance. Would you see yourself buying more property down the line?
Yes, I would say yes. I would like to buy a fixer-upper.
Okay.
I would like to buy a multi-unit, maybe like four units, condominium style. I would love to flip property. So yeah, we're looking into that. We are going to start next year, and so we will be reaching back out to you.
I was just going to write that down. She said next year today.
Yeah, next year in February.
That's what's up. Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, I greatly appreciate that. That's for sure. So, okay. And then how about everybody else? Y'all see yourself buying more property? Y'all done? It's almost like the first kid. It's like you say you want 5 kids, you have one, say, no, I'm done. So so anybody else? Tati, any more buildings after this?
I'm thinking, I just want to get this building right, like perfect first, and then maybe because if you don't have the savings or you don't have the mindset to say, it will drain you out. Like, oh, I'm buying this, I'm steady buying it. Every little money I get, I got to put it back. So I'm like, once I start, and I got a book that I keep everything in. So I'm like, once I start turning positive, the negative balance turn positive, then I think about it. But I'm like, I got to get this back positive.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, Tati has been doing some work she probably ain't have to do because she got a real nice paint job in that back of that house. She ain't need to do that. She just want to do that. So just throwing that out there. So. All right, cool. And then Tatiana, would you see yourself buying another building?
Yeah, absolutely. My goal is to have one more property before the year is out. I already started my own company, so I'm building my business credit.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Okay, cool. And then Kanisha, I know you're waiting on us to start our property management.
I'll be ready for you in February, but I will be looking into property management because the drives.
Yeah.
That's all the way going all the way out south.
I got you. Y'all better get Terrence on it. Y'all know Terrence is big time now. He may even be watching this. He big time now. He ain't got time for us little people no more. So I think Terrence came well after Jessica, but I think some of you guys, I probably sent you guys Terrence information. So Terrence is my cleaning guy, paint guy, maintenance guy, or y'all probably call Mr. Brown, you know. So, but if y'all don't have that, I'll make sure y'all get their information as well too. I always try to keep a Rolodex of people that's, you know, trying to be into that. So, okay, cool. So let's answer some of these questions then. So we got a few questions here. I'll make it quick. So the first ones that we got was, let's see here. Number one, okay. Was each of your first properties one that you're a landlord of? Yeah, so I can answer that. So the properties, all of their first properties is the one that they are the landlord of. So that's everyone that's in here. So next question number two, how much should I be saving for my first rental property? I always think about these what if moments. Who wants to help out on that? How much you think a person should save? Or I won't say save, but like kind of prepare for, you know, after they, you know, get the property.
Well, how much should they be saving after the property or before?
I would say before they, let's do before then, before they purchase it.
I guess we saved double.
Okay.
And we saved double in case we had to bring more to the table. We didn't want to have we wanted to make sure we had enough to cover everything in case it was like something that they needed extra. And then we also didn't know if we wanted to have like the basement, to redo a basement. We didn't know if we were going to find a property that needed work. We didn't know if we were going to start designing the kitchen. So we just played it safe and we put enough away for that. So far, like you say, don't start digging into your
property, rental property.
Yeah, you said don't start digging into your personal money. Try to dig into the money that you're making from them.
Yep.
So that actually was a smart idea. So I would say I'm not sure. I don't have a dollar amount. I'm just saying what we saved.
Got you. I get it. No, I get it. You know, so if you guys could, someone else, of course, if you guys could, like, what kind of number you guys think a person should kind of have prepared? Let's say they already bought the building, right? So not including closing costs, but just kind of just prep money if something were to happen.
I would say to at least have 2 months worth of rent saved up, because things happen and they will probably come with excuses. At least you'll have that comfort to cover your mortgage and to cover your insurance. And that way, if they are late or delayed, then you can at least give the bank their money and you won't be penalized for it. You just get down the back end. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's fair too, because especially now everybody's financial situation is different. But, when people are late, like with COVID going on, which another question we kind of got, I'll go into that a little bit later. But essentially, if someone, is late on the rent, where it's getting to a point where now the mortgage is going to be due. So, and that's what Jessica kind of talked about too. Before buying a building, they save double, not just to have money at the table, but you guys have heard from the building maintenance, that things will happen. And it may happen like in Kanisha's situation, as soon as you get the building and you may not have gotten a rent check yet, but you got to take care of some stuff, So, but it was someone else that was going to kind of speak on that too.
I would say at least $5,000 or $6,000, because that'll cover the first floor rent and the second floor, and then like you never know with plumbing, like simple stuff, like if somebody break a window or something like that, anything in that ballpark.
Okay, cool. All right, and then let's see here. What should I expect if I'm told I have to pay an appraisal cost? That's going to be lender based, but most appraisals are anywhere between $400, $450, $500. So somewhere between $400 to $600, but that's going to be lender based. Next question would be, with all that's happening with COVID and the economy, what should potential home buyers be looking for when searching for property in the coming years? I'll kind of throw my 2 cents on this. I don't see COVID being like, I would say a year from now. I don't know. I feel like everybody will kind of be back to work. Things will probably be normal. I don't know. That's just me, but as of right now, because most of you all have, I would say tenants, but some of you all are about to kick some people out, so Tati, what's your game plan with these people with COVID now, looking for a tenant?
Go for the nurses. Ain't for the ones in the medical. Look at their job. Look, the teachers, you don't know. Teachers be getting laid off a lot. So look at what they do for work.
Yeah.
And that's how, like, my tenants, they both work from home.
Okay.
So so when they was talking to me, they was telling me. So I always look at what type of job they do. Is this a job that they can get laid off quick? But with the COVID, you definitely now want to see what type of job is they in retail. Let me see if this retail, like, Walmart's still open, Target's still open. So with the COVID, it's not going to affect them.
Right.
But the teachers, the bus drivers, they ain't working. So you gotta just look at what they doing.
Listen.
Now I got a lot of self-employed people. Now you finna hit on all these self-employed people with the
Right.
10K.
Right. Not the 10K. Hey, listen, they said they can pay their rent all the way up. Don't fall for, listen, I'm not saying don't fall for it, but you still, I don't care. Section 8, non-Section 8, they want to pay their rent, or people that want to pay up their rent for like a year or something. You still do that interview process. Don't be clouded by the money. Okay, y'all would do it. Tati say you better go after these nurses.
Get the nurses.
Extra overtime.
A hazard pay.
Right. Man. All right. So let's see here. What else we got? Okay, cool. Let me, where's my mouse at? Okay, there we go. All right. So number 5, how often do you check on your property to keep from hassling your tenants? And can you write that into the lease? I'll answer number 2. You can most definitely write that into the lease. Like most of my friends, they have a 1-day notice. Some people have a 2-day notice. But now so the first question is, how often do you guys check on your building? We'll go Bianca. How often do you check on your building?
I would say I'm there probably at least once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Rent is due. I stop by. Well, yeah, once every 2 weeks, because it's small things that you got to do, right? Like one thing that I didn't think about prior to buying the building is like, who's going to remove the snow? Who's going to water the grass? So I find myself now going over there just to water the grass. Small things that I need to do.
Okay. Okay. And then Kanisha, you talked about driving. So now, how often do you check on your building?
At least once a month.
Okay.
And that's just not me want to drive out there.
Right. Because you'll be having no reason to come out south.
But yeah, at least once a month. Like she said, at first I didn't have anybody to cut the grass. I'm like, Calvin, I need somebody to cut this grass.
Own it.
And at first it was the snow, then it was the grass. And so the garage, somebody had bust the door open, so I had to go back and close the garage.
Okay.
There's always little stuff that drives me out.
Okay. And then let me see who else. I'm gonna do Tati, because all the rest of you guys stay at your building, so obviously you're already there, so Tati, how often do you stop by your building?
I stop by like once a month maybe, and that's just to get the mail. I literally get the mail and I look around and I leave. And then when I send maintenance people over, I just let my tenant know, like, hey, he's gonna come, and I just quick pay him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I normally don't go over there because they ain't doing too much. They play in the backyard, but it's not really too much that they doing.
Cool.
For me to keep going.
Okay. Cool. All right. So then number 7, let's see. And just so you guys know, it's not that many. I think I only got like a couple left. So when you have to do major repairs at the fault of the tenant. So for example, it said Tati had to replace like pipes. Do you have to, pay anything? Do you have them pay anything towards those fees? But I do remember you saying you didn't know, if it was that tenant or someone before, but have you guys had a situation where something happened and it was your tenant's fault? Anybody had that happen yet?
I did the second time.
Okay.
Well, after they routed and put a whole new pipeline, it got stopped up again, and she called me, hey. But I had a year warranty. So when he went back out there, he was like, to be honest with you, she did mention that she had a party, and I seen the same red towel that's on her. She must have got a set of red towel because the same red towel was in his toilet. So I had to tell her, I was like, well, it's proven that it's you. Everything's pointing to you. So if this happened again, you will be responsible. And then never heard. She been good ever since.
Man,
but if it did cost, I would have charged her for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only fair. And most people will understand that. And these are things, keep in mind, guys, you guys can always add this type of stuff, to a lease, and there's also too, like Chicago has its own version of a lease, but you can always, make your edits, to that, because it's your building, but side note, Tati tells the best stories, so it's the narration of the story. So. All right. And then, so let's see here. Question is, let me see my question. So question is to the ladies, is it worth it having your own rental property? I think we kind of answered that, because ain't nobody gonna get that up. Nobody want to give away that rent. All right. And then it says, how much do you need to buy a property? You know what? Here's the deal. Now I know we don't want to go too deep into details, but there's a couple people in this panel that literally got a check back at closing. We ain't gonna say no names and put Tatiana's business out there, but
you already did, nah.
Man, but it's a beautiful thing to buy a building, and but let's be totally honest. How many of you honestly thought you were able to buy the buildings you guys have now with the amount of money that you did, no matter what it was at closing?
I got a check back too, so I was surprised.
So
we received a check as well, and it was by surprise. It was check the mail one day. I was just about to rip it up thinking it was junk mail, and I opened it. I was like, what'd I get a check from? Right. That was vacation money.
There you go. Dang, vacation. Let me look back at these books real quick. Man, all right. And same for you, Bianca, tomorrow?
Yeah, I ended up getting a check at closing that I was shocked on, but it wasn't enough to go on vacation, unfortunately.
Right. Okay,
right. A check at closing. I got it actually like a month later. And I was like, damn, they want their money right now already. I ain't even been here a couple of days. But
right.
Just like I was gonna shred it, but some told me to open it. It was lovely. Yes.
There you go. There you go. It's all about them contracts, man. Every single number, matters, so that most definitely matters. So, all right. So I think that is everything. Let me just make sure. My wife said, listen, it's time to wrap it up with these questions now. Let's check this out. Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Okay, cool. Well, listen, I don't want to hold everybody up too long. It's been an hour. So listen, greatly appreciate you all for taking out your time, away from your families, away from everything that you're doing, to help in the community. A lot of people, they loving it, they laughing, all the rest of this stuff. BET comic viewers coming back. They looking for Tati to do an audition. All right, so but either way, listen, we greatly appreciate you guys. And man, I mean, that's really all I got to say. And I appreciate everyone asking questions and things of that sort. So anything you guys want to leave everybody with? So no, we didn't ask all these damn
when
questions.
When you get maintenance done, do not pay up front. Let them do the work first, and don't pay in cash unless maybe you could pay cash, but be careful with maintenance people because a lot of people are scams out here. They'll take your money or they'll start halfway on the job and then you'll never see them. They'll say they need some money to cover their workers or something and you'll never see them again. I see a lot of people starting to get ripped off from people doing that to them. So Be careful with when you're paying for people to manage your building because a lot of people are scammers.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for those who don't know what Tati means by that is, let's say you hire someone to do a job and the job costs $400. Don't give them the $400 up front. Find out what the materials are. Most professionals, they'll buy the materials themselves and then of course do the job and then give you guys the invoice, the bill, but real quick too, everybody that's in here that's watching this, make sure you guys join the renovation room. It's a nice group. Somebody invited me to on Facebook. It's Chicago based, but it's called the Renovation Room. I found some very, very good people there. Most of all the contractors and people that are in there, they're licensed, they're bonded, they're insured, and people they've reviewed them. It's called the Renovation Room. It's like over 10,000 people in that group. I do not get paid to plug that group, but I'm most definitely looking in that group. And a lot of times they'll put their insurance information as one of the photos if they're posted. And so people will say, hey, I need this done by this time. And then people start commenting and, but it's a very good group if you guys are looking for people outside of my circle, because that's how I found a lot of people myself, by doing that. So either way, thank you guys so much. Anything else you guys got? You good? Cool. Perfect. All right, then.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks again, ladies. You guys have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
All right, then.
No.